Letters have reportedly been sent to asylum seekers informing them they will be moved back onto the barge now that the accommodation has passed all the necessary tests. The Bibby Stockholm, which is docked at Portland Port in Dorset, can hold up to 500 people at any one time. But just 39 migrants made it on in August before being removed after Legionella was detected in the water. So that's now been sorted. But the mayor of Portland is mounting a High Court challenge to stop the asylum seekers from moving back. Should the barge reopen next week? Marvyn?
No. I feel like anything that, first and foremost, this feels like a symbol. The barge doesn't seem to be about migrants and putting them somewhere and helping them. It just feels like a symbol of, like, we are going to give you the worst experience humanly possible, including giving you some form of disease, rather than just process you on land in a very healthy way. And so if you've poisoned people on a particular building or a barge, maybe you don't use the barge anymore. And I find the, like, signalling of this barge to be so problematic. The passion for it, it doesn't work. It's inhumane, and it makes the country look terrible.
When things become a symbol like that, though, Marvyn, sometimes we lose sight of actually what they offer. And they offer a space, which we're being told is safe. Legionella's gone, so no one should get poisoned, if we're to trust them on that. A space where they can be processed in time. It takes pressure off of the hotels and the communities that are currently looking after them, and allows some space for them, you know, to either have their...
holding 39 people.
I'll
I'll just invite them to my house. It's honestly not fit for purpose, and the cost of it is absolutely absurd.
We're being told it will save money over the way.
Over the long term, if it manages to stay open with the current capacity that is being muted. So if it's at full capacity over a long period of time, it potentially can save money. But the fact is, they're never going to be able to fill that thing, because you will never ever be able to create a safe environment for women and children, and in fact anybody, on that barge for a long period of time. So it's only a matter of time before there's another outbreak that prevents people having to stay there.
Lizzie, is it useful? Is the symbol, what Marvyn's saying, the symbol is enough to rule it out?
I think, listen, what we've lost sight of, we've got a huge problem with migration. We have got an immigration problem. We've got 180,000 waiting still to be processed. It's got out of hand. It's got out of control. And the fact is, this barge is there, whether we like it or not. It's costing 20,000 a day. Look what we've spent already. Rwanda was 140 million. We've given 500 million to the French. What the French actually done, we're paying them to look after their own borders, and they're escorting, you know, the boats back to us. It's just a shambolic mess. But the barge is there. Yes, it may be another gimmick. You know, people say, look, is it going to be like Waterworld, all these barges all over the place, like something from a Kevin Costner movie? But the fact is, the barges are there. They have been said they're healthy. They have, you know, they've got food, shelter. There's even a snooker room. There's TVs. It isn't, you know, we've got our own homeless and veterans on the street that would love to be on that barge.
I feel like that's just a separate issue. Like, if we have our homeless people and veterans who aren't being housed properly, that's again another more evidence that the country isn't particularly working. I just want to make sure people at home really understand that these symbols make our country look bad on a global scale. And I feel like we've done more damage to our reputation in terms of how we manage things. This country used to be about doing things in the best way possible and standing on our own 2 feet in terms of what we believe. And now it's become this thing of, like, loads of virtue signalling ideas about us tackling immigration. But none of the things you suggested have worked. Rwanda thing has been a nightmare. No, but they can't work.
I'll tell you why they won't work.
The France relationship has been a nightmare.
European judges, we're still in the ECHR, we can't get any ideas or solutions.
You've got this solution now.
Rwanda, not even a plane's taken off.
Bibby Stockholm didn't come from nowhere. It wasn't built for us. It was used previously in Europe. So at some point, it's been accepted for use in Europe and has gone past the sort of checks you're talking about. A lot of critics of this say, actually, the problem is not with the accommodation. The problem is with the asylum process, Lizzie, that it's not working quickly enough or efficiently enough. And some people are saying that this government has slowed down that process. It's not as efficient as it maybe has been in the past. So Is that the problem? Are we paying the price here for a system that's been neglected?
The system is neglected. We've got 180 still to be processed. There are some that are still waiting a year on, not even having been looked at.
So who's to blame for that?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like it's a political
No. But look, I'm sorry. We need to take a tougher line. We should have taken, a leaf out of Australia's book where they did turn back the boats. I'm sorry, they should have. No, it's not a fantasy. It worked in Australia. It's not fantasy, Marvyn. It's real.
Australia's
and it
like
worked for
80%
Australia.
Desert. It's not the same in
we could
climate
do
or
it
environment.
and we need either to get our Navy involved and, stop giving
our
money.
Navy?
Yeah, our Navy. We need our borders secured. They're not. There's an emergency and communities, are worried about who's coming in because they're throwing their passports.
It's so difficult when things like secure our borders is the sentence that
people are worried
make.
because they don't know who's coming in to our country, and our country is a small island. There's only, it's affecting...
It holds 68 million people.
It's a small island. We can't do it. We haven't got the infrastructure.
It sounds like an argument for an effective asylum processing system rather than for building barges to accommodate the people that we've got here in the first place.
Yeah, but we've got this barge now. It's costing us 20,000 a day just to it floating. I know it's only like one influx of boats. It's only going to hold 500 people, but get them on, because there is an all-time high of look at that 180 waiting still to be processed.
Okay, let's hear from Alan. Alan, do you feel it's the right time to bring the Bibby Stockholm back into use?
Yes, 100%. And I'll tell you why. If that accommodation is good for our soldiers, right? And these people are so desperate that they're running from being persecuted, they'd be glad, any normal person would be glad to have something like that. I walked down our town, not where I went on my mobile scooter, last Monday, and I seen people, right, sleeping in doorways, and the town is a shambles. So why can't these people go in there? Why they should be forced and made to go in there. If they don't want to go in there, go back where you come from. And I'm not a racist.
Alan, what you're saying is because there is homelessness, then people who come here as refugees from countries where they're facing great risk have to accept whatever they're given. I mean, that's a bit of a leap, isn't it? No.
But you see, they come from France. They come across the channel. So you're telling me now that France is not a safe country?
But Alan's got a point. Can I just say, though, very quickly, I agree with Alan in the fact that, if you're fleeing from a war-torn country, you would be happy for shelter, for food, for a bed, and, to be looked after. You're
going to flee an unhumane situation to go to another unhumane situation?
That's not it's not. Have you looked into? Have you
to
actually
make them
been?
live on the streets.
Marvyn, have you actually been on that barge? It isn't. I've seen the pictures. You've got your own snooker hall and TVs.
Okay.
Alan, would you suggest that we would use the barge for homeless people? Would that be a good use of the barge?
Well, yes. Part of it would be, yes.
Would you put the homeless people with the refugees, put them together and use up the 500 spaces?
No, put 500... asylum seekers in there. They've come from what they are saying, war-torn countries, and they've been persecuted and all this. They will be glad. They should be glad, appreciate what this country has given them. But no, and I want to ask that gentleman on there who says, oh, yes, I'll ask him, would he like to pay for them, personally himself? I'm an 84-year-old pensioner, right? I am waiting. I need a new hip. I've been waiting over 3 years. And all the money has been spending on these people who are supposed to be persecuted. I am being persecuted with my health.
OK, we're going to take another call. Thank you so much, Alan. Peter, is it time to bring the Bibby Stockholm back into use?
Definitely, yes. It should have been brought back a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned. I can't see how it took so long to sort out this legionnaires disease.
Well, you couldn't put people onto the Bibby Stockholm while there was Legionella.
No, I agree there, but surely
so now we've got the all clear for that. Now we've got the all clear for that. You think fill it, make sure people are there, and rather than in hotels and in communities around Dorset, because that's where...
Exactly, yes. Now it's all safe. They should be able to go back on the barge.
OK. I mean, the pictures, Marvyn, certainly give the impression that this is somewhere, at least in the short term, because we're talking about a short-term solution for these people. It looks habitable. It looks safe from what we can tell. Obviously, it's depending on the way that it's run. They're not being held prisoner. They are allowed to come and go, signing in and signing out. Is it such an inhospitable environment, certainly compared to where they're coming from? And is that the metric we should be using? Is that the measure we should be using?
No, I think if they make it into this country, they should have a chance to live in society and play an active role and be around where other people actually live. Creating a barge as a holding cell for them doesn't feel particularly British to me.
We know when there are huge influxes of asylum seekers and refugees into a certain community, it does create tension. They're not always made welcome because of the pressure
if they go into one concentrated area, but that's not necessarily the case. We have the power to move them around into areas that can afford in terms of capacity. We keep calling ourselves a tiny island, but when we talk about the global impact of Britain, we're this great nation.
No,
well, great nations look after people, and great nations have an impact all over the world.
If people can't get their own
if it's not
hospital
fit for
appointments,
homeless people,
that's
do not
absolutely
put
rubbish.
migrants on it.